All right, everyone. Well, I just want to say welcome to another episode of Monday Night Coaching. We are in season 3, and I'm really excited because we have Melanie Richards with us again. Uh-oh, it seems like our music wants to keep going. Give me 1 second, Melanie. All right, can you hear me now?
We can definitely hear you. Thanks for your warm welcome.
Okay, 1 second. I don't know what's happening. We're having some tech glitches. Okay, can you hear me now,
We can hear your beautiful
Melanie?
voice. Yes, we can hear your beautiful
Was
voice.
there like a delay, or is that just on my end?
Actually, I truly think this is starting to happen more and more. We're
Okay.
having so remind you of the days. Remember, we would say all the time that there were, oh wow, we're having glitches. We would have audio glitches. We're back to those days.
Fun days, fun days.
Exactly,
Oh my
exactly. The good
goodness.
good
Well,
good news is it helps everybody learn. We're good. We're good.
I always say when things go wrong, at least you know we are not AI, right? You know we are real people here, real mistakes, real glitches. So it's okay. I feel like we've been doing live events so long, you understand when something is live, anything can happen. Well, I could just let everyone know again. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to have you guys tuning in. One thing I want to say before we get started, we have a very special guest. We have Melanie Richards with us. But one thing I love about Melanie has been here from the beginning stages. She has been on all 3 seasons of Monday Night Coaching. And I just want to say thank you so much, Melanie, for your support and joining me. You are truly appreciated.
Thank you for your warm welcome, and I'm truly honored. I'm delighted to join you and your guests anytime, any place, any season.
Well, you know what, everyone, I'm excited because today's topic is creating calls to connect and engage. And for those of you that are new to Melanie, she is, I always say, my trust guru. She just did a 4-part trust masterclass series. So she's really going to kind of help us understand how to create those calls to connect and engage, but with a trust foundation. But I'm going to hand the mic over to you, Melanie, for you to properly introduce yourself to everyone.
Thank you so much. And hey, Meryl, thank you so much for joining us. I am hey Adrian, how are you? Lots of people joining us from the Northeast. And we look forward to, welcoming others from other states and countries too. And thank you for joining us. I'm a coach. A girl from the Bronx says, Meryl keeps reminding me as we say, let's go Mets. And Meryl, that was a hard series doubleheader to watch yesterday. But I'm a girl from the Bronx. And one of the things that I love is helping inclusive leaders and dynamic teams so they're able to create conversations with ideal future clients, with collaborators, with sponsors, so that they're able to build the business of their dreams. And I started out doing this in gifts and incentives in the promotional products industry. So that really led to the passion for events and helping people mix it up and supporting salespeople to help people spark conversations. I'm delighted to join you again today, Amalia. And thanks again for your warm welcome.
I love it. And if you are not connected with Melanie, this is her QR code directly to her LinkedIn profile. Make sure you connect today. I'll also put those links in the comment section. All right. Well, one thing I love about Melanie, you're the same way. We love interaction. So if you are tuning in live, make sure to comment. I just want to say hi to Meryl. I did see you comment for us. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And I do see Adrian tuning in live. So if you are watching us live, Feel free to comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. If you are catching the replay, feel free also to let us know that you watched your replay and where you're tuning in. And I always like to keep it fun and engaging. Let us know like your biggest takeaways in between, if something capture your attention at the end, or if you are watching the replay and you have a question for Melanie, still make sure your comment so that way we can come back and engage. Well, you know what? Speaking of engagement, I can say we can definitely dive into today's topic. Are you ready, Melanie?
Definitely ready. Let's do it.
All right. Well, I kind of like to kind of stay with the trust. I love incorporating trust with you. So I'm going to ask, why is trust such a critical component of engagement? And what makes someone instantly feel safe and far as like, or connected when we reach out? So if I were to connect with someone, what will make them feel safe with me?
So here's the beginning and here's the part. I'm the geeky girl. I'll admit it, from my positive intelligence and from my bean counter, my operations days. There's a study by Paul J. Zak, who ran a Center for Neuroeconomic Studies at Harvard. And one of the stats that they came up with was that cultivating trust improves engagement by 76%. Think of all the times, hey Lisa, hi Sean, thanks for popping in to join us. When when we reach out to somebody, and a good example is I'll use amazing Amalia as an example. I met Amalia in a community in Thought Leadership Branding Club. We met and we really didn't have a chance to speak. It's a community, and you see others and you're like, wow, do I reach out? Do I say hi? Do I help this person? And I think one of the things that I found, Amalia, that you did that I would love to encourage others to do is sometimes we meet somebody and they're really comfortable asking for help. They're comfortable asking for something they need, whether it's an introduction, whether they have a question. I'm a teacher's kid. I always have questions. And I had to really be encouraged in the beginning to ask the question. And I think sometimes that question helps with engagement. Others know they're in what is a safe space to kind of share, whether it's to share knowledge or to show up and take notes, and really to take steps. I think the thing that's challenging about trust is that it's an emotion. It has to exist on both sides of every call, every connection, every opportunity to engage. And we have to make sure that it's really present. And I think that's the place to start. We meet somebody, we're not sure where it's going. I met Molly and I was like, oh my gosh, I'd love to have a conversation with her. And I forgot what you mentioned. It might have been a question about audio. And I was like, Molly is doing audio. And you know what? I really hadn't been in a lot of audio rooms, but you asked a question that helped me answer a question I had. And I think sometimes that's the quickest way to connect. There's somebody else who's looking for the same information that you are, the same answer. They're showing up with curiosity. They're fully present and they're thoughtful. And I think those are the type of things that really help you lean in. Another good example is Sean Michael, who's in the audience. Sean and I met in Kimberly Lechnick's community. We had never met before. We'd never had a conversation, but you could feel, as part of the welcome and part of building trust, just that human to human, we both showed up curious and really fully present. And I think those are the things that help us dial in and lean in. They remind us, human to human, we're vulnerable. And I hope that's answered some of your question, Amalia.
You know, I love that you mentioned trust has to go both ways because sometimes we kind of focus on just making the person trust us, but it's also we kind of have to trust that person as well. And I love that you kept bringing up community. And that's like a big thing. I trusted Bobby. So it made me trust Bobby's community. And because I've trusted who Bobby was as an individual, I figured he probably had some type of vetting system or or just some type of, structure to where I was comfortable enough to ask those questions within the community. But like you said, it had to be a trusted situation for me to actually feel comfortable enough to start building those relationships. Now, with that being said, what are common mistakes people make that unknowingly break trust before real conversations can even begin? Are you still with me, Melanie? If you guys can hear me, just let me know in the chat. I hope I didn't lose her. If you can hear me, just say yes in the chat. Because I want to know if it's my audio or if I lost Melanie. Uh-oh. So I think she's stepping out and coming back in. Let's see here. So while I wait on Melanie to come back, and like I say, I love, don't you guys love the authenticity of live events? So I just want to say hi, Sean. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, again, because we are having a few tech glitches, please let me know in the chat if you can actively hear me. But I just want to say hi, Sean. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do see Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for joining me. All right, I see. Let's see. Jay, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to our conversation, and I can't wait to start attending your events as well. So thank you so much for tuning in, Jay. And then let's see. We have, okay, Kingdom Mindset. Hi, thank you for joining us. I appreciate the yes. I appreciate that. So that lets me know that you guys can hear me. Okay, you can't hear Mel, so hopefully she can come back in soon. Okay, I appreciate that kingdom mindset. So I wonder if this is just something that's going on right now regarding the glitches. I saw that you said you're having problems with your connection as well. Of course, Sean, thank you so much. I always love your mind shifts on Monday. So everyone, if you have not caught Sean's Monday mind shifts, make sure you guys tune in, connect with him, and tune in Mondays at noon. All right, well, I'm going to head over to my inbox. Maybe she had reached out to me just to make sure. These things happen. So I just want to thank everyone for their patience. And then feel free, if you have questions regarding today's topic, now is the perfect time to put your questions in the chat. So that way, when Melanie returns, we can jump right into those questions. And then another thing, too, I always like to keep things interactive. What is your goal for the start of this week? And if you have any events that you're hosting or you're a part of or guest speaking on, feel free to put them in the comments. I will give you shout outs. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for your patience. All right. I think we have Melanie. Hi, Melanie.
Hey there. Thanks for your warm patience. I tell you, it's one of the joys of living so close to West Point. When others need our Wi-Fi signal more than we do, we lose internet. So thank you so much for your patience and for your rich question and then just a zap. Sorry, Amalia, to hit a reset.
No, you are absolutely. Oh, it's okay. We're gonna wait when you come in. The cool thing is we have a community, and let's go into some of our comments as we wait for her to come back. We have when you first joined LinkedIn, what were you afraid of when you started to create your LinkedIn network connections? So, you know what? When Jay, to answer your question as we wait on Melanie to come back, I don't, I think the biggest fear was just putting myself out there. Um, and then knowing, I guess, learning that who you want to be a part of your community, right? I feel like when I first started, I was just accepting everyone's connection requests. And then I kind of got flooded with spam and so many different things that it made LinkedIn a little overwhelming. So I would say just be intentional with who you connect with. All right, Melanie, welcome back.
Thank
we're,
you so much.
we're
Hey,
gonna
Jay.
So you know what? Since because he just answered his question, would you like to respond to this before we jump back in? He asked, when you first joined LinkedIn, what were you afraid of when you started to create your LinkedIn network connection? And then I invite those that are tuning in live to also answer this question in the chat.
Jay, in the beginning, I joined LinkedIn because a business coach invited me to join. So in the beginning, I didn't realize that the connections online would eventually increase to the point where they were closer relationships than the in person relationships. So I joined LinkedIn without any fear in the beginning. And I think that's the thing. I think sometimes, Jay, we have to think of we're holding our nose, we're jumping into the pool, so to speak. And I think the important part is really just to have the courage to start. Just show up as you are. And not the fear necessarily of hmm who are we having conversations with, but just show up as you are and give yourself that courage to kind of come out and play. And I think that's the real big the real big difference. And I think as Sean Michael just put up, you know, sometimes we're hesitant to accept requests to connect because we're looking for a reason. We're looking, and Amalia and I were talking about this before. Trust kind of has to exist in both places, or a trust willingness, or a trust opportunity. Those are the things as we're building communities, as we're trying to, and think of them not as connections. Jay, think of them as people that you want to help. It makes the step a shorter step. Find a way to help somebody as opposed to a way to connect.
I love that. I look at LinkedIn now as a building my tribe because I want to make sure I can provide value. And I like what Sean said. Like I'm a big connector, but I'm also an intentional connector, if that makes sense, Melanie, because I want to make sure that, well, like you said, trust goes both ways. I have some experiences with certain, you every social media platform, you just have to be careful who you connect with. Don't be afraid if you find yourself needing to remove someone. But I find it more valuable when you, like you mentioned, Melanie, when I can make those deeper connections. So I try to be more intentional with like-minded individuals to where I can build that deeper connection.
And I think you're really hitting the heart of it, that in the process of connecting, you're really looking for relationships that are warm, that are lasting, that are engaging, that are fulfilling. And and I think that's the part, is to shift our focus from connecting to connect, to planting seeds, to cultivate trust in our relationships. I think it shifts the focus. It shifts the way to look at it. We're just we're just trying to. Americo said it. Yep. There's no value in connecting for vanity. This isn't a numbers game. We're here, human to human, to help each other, to learn about each other, to discover ways to help each other flourish. And we need to really be kind of vulnerable about that, human to human, so that we're building a relationship with clarity.
I love that. And that was such a great question, Jay. Thank you. But Melanie, I would love to dive back into our topic because I want to give you enough time. But before the internet started to affect our events, don't you just love the internet? I was
I truly do. I'm a half hour away from West Point, so when the government needs more wavelength, more signals, we just lose it. Thanks for your patience.
no, of course. So my question to you, what are common mistakes people make that unknowingly break trust before a real conversation can even begin?
A good example is for those who are on platforms like LinkedIn that have premium accounts. They're able to send us an email. Someone can send us a message, and it's kind of that message isn't perceived as an icebreaker. Some people use it as an opportunity to ask what they think is a thought provoking question. And we really need to wait for permission. We really need to show that we're genuine. We're focused on the person that we're trying to have a conversation with. And I think the word real conversation is the goal. If I'm a coach and you're asking me, am I having an issue with lead generation, which the number of messages that I get with the words lead generation in them, I'm going to start counting them. I think one week I received 20 messages about lead generation. Every single lead generation message showed me wasn't a person who ever read my profile, wasn't a person I had ever had a conversation with. We hadn't met at an event. And the people who were sending them, if they realize it, I'm not looking for leads. I'm looking for real, true relationships. And I think that's the part to think of. We're looking for the real part. We're looking for people who are genuine. We're looking for people who have incredible energy. We all need really good energy. We're looking for those really high vibes that light us up. And I think sometimes a good way to start is to start with gratitude. A great example of that is Roy Kowarski, who was delighted to meet in the Thought Leadership Branding Club room. And he invited me on stage, and I was an introvert, really uncomfortable, just hanging out in the clubhouse room. And he sent a message just acknowledging that I was there. It really helped me relax. And I think that's the key. Your first message, you want to help someone relax. You don't want to if we were porcupines, you'd make us feel like someone's scratching the nails on the chalkboard.
Oh,
So I'd say taking our time is probably the best way to start.
I love that. And you know what? I like the fact that you brought up the end mail and just the DM in general. I feel like the fastest way to break trust is to start off pitching someone and you have not even put in any effort to build a connection, know what they do or who they are. I hear so many times, I see it all over LinkedIn. Everyone says, someone just pitched me today to do exactly what I'm specializing in. And then, or you'll see, did you even read my profile? So it's just, if you cannot even take the time to even see who the person is, what they do, that is like the fastest way to make them ignore your connection request. Or if you come off too spammy, I would love to ask you, Melanie, what are your thoughts on this? When someone sends me a connection message or like a personal note to connect with me, and they're pitching rather than trying to build a connection, I immediately ignored or declined it. What do you guys? I would love to know what is your, ick, how I say your ick when it comes to connecting and people reaching out. What makes you kind of not trust them in actions? And Melanie, you kind of touched, knocked it on the head. But what is your thoughts when it comes to the request or the personal note for connections?
Sometimes without realizing it, somebody may have something in their profile that creeps us out. It may be a comment they've made on someone else's post. A good example is somebody I adore who makes fabulous introductions, introduced me to somebody, and I didn't really know the person, and the person wanted to set up a call. And we reached a point probably a month after we were introduced where they were on my calendar. And I found it kind of interesting because when I looked at their posts, I was getting kind of creeped out. And I don't know a better way to say that. I looked at a post of their content. They were interviewed by somebody, and um, I think mm, the aura they were giving on, the impression that they were giving on them, it wasn't about anybody else in the world. And I think that is the quickest way. It's almost like spraying insect repellent. Sometimes in a pitch can be really well written. Person's a copywriter, person's really worked on it. Maybe it's an audio message. Maybe it's kind of unique. Maybe it's a unique video message. I think sometimes that if they're eye catching, I I don't I don't delete them that quickly. I actually start a conversation and try and see who's on the other end and see if there's any chemistry. Are we a good fit for each other?
I like the like. I don't think people realize, or for those that are new to LinkedIn, every comment, every like, LinkedIn makes sure you have no privacy when it comes to these things. So you have to be very careful, especially if you're using LinkedIn to build your brand, your business. Exactly what like Melanie mentioned. Sometimes it could start off well, but depending on what you're commenting, I would say this is still a professional platform. I've had that same situation. I've actually really thought someone was, I enjoyed their expertise, but it almost seemed like they were trolling someone and we could see it. And I don't think it was intentional, but they were very strong on their personal opinion to where they were not really being respectful to someone else's. And it's like, okay, well, you could just keep scrolling. You don't necessarily have to stop and attack this person if you, or you can agree to disagree. So these things really, make a difference. I feel like the make and break of trust depending on how you behave yourself. So I'm so glad you pointed that out. I just want to highlight Americo. He put Legion is an ideology to sell clicks. What's on the other side of the click must be compelling enough to warrant a conversation. What are your thoughts on that, Melanie?
I'll admit it. I'm allergic to lead gen, and I'm possibly allergic to it because events are a natural way to create conversations for me. They're a natural way to help my clients create conversations. And I I think people asking what my lead generation strategy is. We haven't had a cup of tea yet. You don't know if I like coconut water. You don't know if I'm a coffee or a tea drinker. And the minute we start out with a question, as if we have earned the permission to get intimate knowledge of something that's happening in somebody else's business, that I think is the part that kind of it erodes trust. It damages the attempts to even build it.
I like how you keep mentioning ask for permission. I can definitely respect. I have people that actually message me and they ask me a question first. It's like, hey, I have this new workshop coming up. Would you like for me to send you the details rather than just flooding my inbox with the details without asking me? Or people just Asking, would you be interested in joining me for a virtual coffee rather than just flooding the link or pushing a resource down my throat I didn't ask for, even though it could be helpful. I do think people appreciate it more when you do ask for permission. So I love the fact that you are highlighting that aspect because I feel like people really miss the mark on that. I feel like the biggest way, if you don't want to ask for permission, I would love to know your feedback too on this, Melanie. So I use the premium away message, and it's very subtle. Like, I'm a person, like, rather than a lead generation, I always think of another way to keep adding value. So I have like a value funnel versus like a lead gen funnel. And I usually have my away message be the automatic thing, which I feel like people are more likely to feel a little comfortable with because it's not really me spamming them and saying, hey, while I'm away, be sure to check out my events. I would love to know your thoughts on that. Do you think the away message can also break trust and kind of come off a little overwhelming?
I think some can. A good example is a coach whose team helps, and I'm saying helps. Their team is very active in their direct messages, and we've known each other, this coach and I, probably for about 4, almost 5 years now, maybe a little longer, and we've laughed together. We were, on lives together, and occasionally the team member who's engaging in the message has no awareness that we've ever had a conversation. They're trying to get a butt in the seat, for example, or trying to get me to sign up for a free trial of something. And one day, the message, I said to the person, I actually typed back, I used the person's name and I said, is this you? Is this really you? It took 2 days for the person to get back to me. And maybe it just meant that was busy. Maybe it was family time. Maybe they were on vacation. Maybe they were at another multi day event. Maybe they were deep in a program. I have no idea. But someone else was participating in the direct messages. If you don't have the bandwidth or the time, or when we go on vacation, I love that you have an away message because you're acknowledging, hey, I saw you. Here's another piece of content that you can engage with before we talk. It's straight up. You're letting someone know, hey, here's another place to pop in and learn about Amalia. And I appreciate that because I think it also is evergreen because you can keep changing that to make it current, and you're letting us know, hey, I got stuff going on, whether I'm out building a community, whether I'm out working on a project. I think there's a clarity and an honesty there that I really appreciate. The direct messages with someone who has no idea who we are and no interest in us, those are the ones I think that I'm really getting kind of allergic to. They I delete them. I actually delete them.
Now I'm actually finding them a little bit frustrating because I feel like the worst thing you can do is make someone day a little more complicated. And for me, if my DM is flooded with spam messages and all of these things, and this is why I'm a little more intentional about who I accept for as connection. We are all busy individuals, and that time, it's prolonging my time on LinkedIn. And I feel like I'm missing important direct messages because I'm trying to filter through the spam. I don't know if anyone else ever felt like that. Please comment spam.
Well, so you'll laugh, and I love it because you're saying that direct messages, I star them so that the important ones always have a star in them. It's somebody I know I want to speak with. There's some curiosity. There's maybe a question that I need to answer. Maybe there was a piece of content. Maybe there was an invitation. Maybe I was driving, or, didn't have the opportunity, to respond properly. It it kind of will highlight it. I love also sometimes in the old days, you could set your autoresponder up to just send a message to someone once. And like you say, it respects the time. Hi, Hiromi. How are you? Thanks for popping in and joining Amalia and I.
And you know what, Melanie? I like that you. So I star certain group chats, but I have not incorporated that strategy to where I just start conversations that I want to go back to. So I actually going to put that on my list of things to do to go back and just start starring conversations. So that way I can better filter. So that way the people that I actually want to have conversations with do not have to wait, or sadly I drop the ball and forget or go back because I am flooded with so much spam.
So you're going to laugh. I don't star group conversations.
Okay.
I only star the individual ones. They're because 9 times out of 10, they're with ideal future clients, they're with collaborators, they're with current clients, they're with referral partners. So I think it's, in the we laugh. Earlier today I was cracking up. My phone was ringing off the hook. And I was laughing because the first call claimed that it was a call from 911. Now I know this was a highly masked spam call because 911 wasn't calling me this morning. And I think the thing is, if we treat our direct messages as a place where an ongoing conversation happens, where we're hoping, and maybe it's not immediate, maybe it's in a couple of days, maybe it's in a couple of messages, to get to a place where you're looking for a way to identify clear next steps, and to think of that in every conversation. If we were having a conversation today and Amali and I, we, in the process of like preparing to go live, we'll have a pre-conversation, and it really helps you know what a clear next step is. And I think that's the part, what you're saying about reducing the amount of time we spend on platforms, reducing the amount of distractions, is really helping others have a really clear next step. And that's when we know we're having an engaged conversation. And it's one of the reasons why I always suggest, in the process of connecting, be a really active listener. When you're engaging with somebody and it's really high energy and it's focused, be a really deep listener. But both times, both ways, it's about inviting each other and waiting for the other person to respond.
So, Melanie, you mentioned next steps, and that kind of goes to one of my questions I have for you today. And how does the let me see. I'm gonna really want to make sure I really get this right for you, because there's two parts to this. So I want to make sure, because there's so many different ways we can ask this question. But how does differentiation during outreach lead to clear next steps? And I always feel like I can never say this word. Differentiate. Oh my goodness. Say it for me, Melanie.
It's differentiation. And the thing is, it's reminding us there's a lot that's in there. The part about differentiation, one of my favorite pen manufacturers, a company called Prodeer, and I discovered them promotional products years ago, and I love their pens. German, cool pen. They always click. Always a fun pen to play with. And one of the things that I laugh about with this pen was, when I first got a pen from them, the pen said, "Do you dare to be different? Do you value your difference?" And I think the part about outreach is, if we're reaching out to someone who we already have a relationship with, the next step is clear. If we're reaching out, kind of, and we mention it, are they cold calls? Are they welcome calls? But I think that reminds me, in differentiation, if you're having a conversation with somebody you're already engaged, always put in some call to welcome the person and welcome them. I invite you, join us. Um, and really remember that the person on the other end, your message or comment, you have to wait across time zones. Um, some of us have do not disturb on, during alternate hours, during alternate events. I have it on my laptop pretty much 24/7 now. And you really, I think the part about dare to be different is that part of engaging, people know what what makes you you. They're learning. Wow, they're bold. They're cutting edge. Hiromi's a great example. I met Hiromi in Jonathan Howard's signature style leadership calls and in the membership community. And we met and had such a memorable conversation, short in a breakout. The clear next step after I disconnected from Hiromi, I started following Hiromi on all these different platforms. And that's a clear next step. Is there some sort of invitation in there? Do you want to welcome the person? And it's clear when it's somebody who's got fabulous energy, or you're really interested in supporting their why, or you want to introduce them to ideal future clients or collaborators. Then it's really clear what the next steps are.
I love that. And I was sitting here laughing to myself too, Melanie. It was like, I can say differentiation. I just think my brain likes embarrassing me on live. Sure. Oh my goodness. But no, I love that for next steps. And I feel like a lot of times we miss some of those elements. And but I would love to go back to automation if that's okay with you.
Sure. And you can always, when you're just connecting with somebody, you can ask them what they'd like the next step to be like. It lets you know whether you're a good fit for each other.
And you know what? And that goes back to asking that permission. It's making it like almost a two-way conversation and making them feel a part of it, right? When you asking them what they prefer the next step is, because sometimes feeling like you're being pressured into a next step can also maybe kind of put a damper a little bit on that trust that you have with that person. Because I've been in situations to where I felt a little overwhelmed and a little pressured about the next step. You ever feel like trapped, like and you're finding yourself making up things or reasons to kind of get out of that trap space. So I love the fact that you highlighted it's okay to incorporate or ask them what they prefer their next steps. Have you ever felt that way, Melanie, or ever been in that position?
Oh, definitely. Plus, also, sometimes when we're asking somebody and they're not sure what the next step is, we need to acknowledge we have different communication styles. For the language in which we're speaking, it may not be their primary language. Person may be neurodiverse. Person may be distracted. I smile with Amalia. We really talked about this last week in speaking of how to amplify your audio voice. There are different. We show up differently, different times, different spaces, and when there isn't an answer, just being really patient and sometimes waiting for that response is part of the relationship. The next steps aren't clear.
And you'd be surprised how much you can build by being patient and waiting. Um, I should say nudges is okay, but I don't think I would never advise someone to pressure or push something down someone's throat. I think that's the clearest way to break that trust. But I want to go back to automation because I know we were talking about just like the auto away messages, but just in automation and in general. I want to ask you, how have you seen automation or your own anxiety impact the quality of relationships or responses online?
I know for myself, I'm really affected, and especially as you said before, we're so used to LinkedIn, being able to look at someone's profile, or you can look on Facebook or on Clubhouse or another platform. You can discover information very, very quickly. And I think sometimes the opportunity to be on stages sometimes can lead to a lot of connection requests while we're on stage. It can lead to a lot of messages. I I know today, and I'm really appreciative we're on audio because of automation. Our conversation today may lead to more LinkedIn messages. It may lead to more messages on other platforms. And I think that's what increases the anxiety, that need to feel like, oh, wow, I need to be present and respond everywhere, every in a timely manner. I Today's a day I'm I'm on a new medication for congestion. I thought it was allergy. It's not. And so today I didn't host my live today. I had to take a step back, and I noticed today online I had to give myself the permission to heal rather than respond. And I think that's part of the active and the deep listening. We got to learn to listen to ourselves too. If it's creating some anxiety, this may not be a relationship you're ready to take a next step in. It may not be someone who you want to respond to immediately. And I think just following that part of it, and thank you, Sean, but part of it is heart centered. If it's making you feel anxious and making you catch your breath, making the need for breath work or meditation or causing you to dive into self care, I think sometimes there are signals in there too about the pace and the space and giving ourselves some grace.
I love that you kind of highlighted some of the warning signs that we ignore. And everything, I feel like you're holding a mirror up to me because Sean was just coaching me. Like, I know this is your baby, Amalia. But if you are getting burnt out, maybe you should take a step back from some of the things that you're doing. But no, I like the fact that you are allowing yourself to heal. And this goes back to, building that trust, building that tribe, having the right people that's a part of your community, because we understand. We absolutely understand. You provide us so much value, Melanie. If you do take a step away to heal or whatever you need to do for yourself, refill your cup, guess what? We'll be right here waiting for you when you get back.
And as Sean says, back to you. I mean, seriously, I think it's that, they always say you can't give from an empty cup. You have to give from that saucer. And I think allowing ourselves that grace, that space, it's showing the same care in a relationship, and you're also showing self trust, self care, self love, and those are critical in any relationship. We really just we need to take the same care to nourish ourselves, because our relationship with ourselves is as important as all of our relationships with others.
I love that. And you know what? I do know, like, our conversation was mainly about connecting and outreach and all of those things. But the truth is, sometimes these things can be a little scary and have a lot of hesitation, or just when you're new, it's like when you're trying to establish yourself or get to know people, it's like, how do we actually reach out? We have all these don'ts and what we shouldn't do, but it's like, what do I actually need to do? It's like you have so many gurus telling us what to do, and it seems like a lot of it, because Melanie, when I first started, my very first coach actually had like a whole layout of emails and things like that, but it was all pitches. It was like a DM sequence of pitches and automation, and it took for me to really learn just what LinkedIn was, what I wanted LinkedIn to be for me, to realize how I wanted to show up. And my question to you, I guess my last question, because I know we're almost at the hour mark and I want to make sure I allow you to rest this evening. What strategies do you recommend for managing nervousness or hesitations when it comes to initiating authentic outreach?
I think you start by acknowledging they're there. So if outreach makes you nervous, And I would laugh in the beginning. I learned in terms of outreach, I had to really feel it. Like Amalia, and I love it because Amalia's brand color is yellow. I had to feel bright and energetic and sunny, or I didn't want to reach out. And I think so. I learned for me when I was doing outreach, I would do it after a morning of live networking. I would come in from live networking and I made that day outreach day. That was the day for conversations, for new conversations. That was the day for discoveries. It was a day for exploring. I gave myself permission kind of to live in full color. When it gets more complicated, you need to plan in the days off, the hours off, the breaks in between. Some people, I think, schedule outreach and they're like, okay, I need to I need to ask 10 people so I get to one yes. And people would just be pummeling through call after call after call after call after call. And I think we have to really stop that part. And as Jay's saying, may the force be with you too. We really have to give ourselves the permission to change our pace. And you said it before, when we're nervous, I learned the hard way. When I'm nervous, I need to do something to laugh. I need to remember the sense of humor, acknowledge what's spooking me, almost as if someone's tickling you, and kind of reframe it. What is it that I'm afraid of? Am I afraid of the first call? Well, maybe then that's the person I call second. Or I remember my last conversation with the person, and a new reason that I want to start a new conversation with them. And I think that's the part to start is if it's if you're reaching out to somebody you've never had a conversation with before, you almost need to practice a little bit. I was having conversations with a couple of collaborators recently, and they said, in the process of warming up for calls, I go to ChatGPT or to Gemini or a Copilot, and I have a conversation with myself first, and I smiled. It's a way to warm things up, like just like you're stretching your vocal cords. And I think break it down into smaller steps so that it's not as overwhelming. And call someone you love, or read a joke that you adore. Read an affirmation. Listen to a cool song. Dance. Get up and boogie. Go for a hike. Go walk your dog. Go water your plants. Do something you absolutely love and enjoy. So there's less anxiety and there's less fear there. And breath work always works.
I love that. And I'm a big chat GPT person and I do practice and I do depending on what the conversation is. But another thing that I also do, Melanie, I love sending voice notes because I feel like it helps me not overanalyze the situation, it helps me not overthink what I'm trying to say. It just should showcase my personality. And one thing I can say from hosting audio events, I became okay with not being perfect. Like even today, I couldn't even say a word. My brain was like, not today, Amalia. And I'm like, wait, I know this word. But I feel like it shows my true personality. I like to laugh. Everyone know I'm like a giggle queen. I'm always laughing at something, but that's what lights up my life. That's what makes me feel comfortable to kind of shake off those nerves. But I love everything you suggested. And, I would love to kind of do more. Just practicing because I realize I just do the audio message and send it because it's my comfort zone. But I attended an event and they mentioned that the comfort zone is like where, oh my God, I think it was you, Sean, that had a really good quote regarding staying in your comfort zone. So I feel like practicing and leveraging that skill can definitely help you go outside that comfort zone and show up the way you actually want to show up. But thank you so much, Melanie, for all the wonderful insights. I know we're getting close to the hour mark. Would you like to do a recap or any key things that you want them to take away from today's conversation?
Yes, I really want you and thank you, Amalia, not only for your warm welcome and your warm invitation, but Amalia, keep leaning in with that wonderful giggle. We need it. In the process of creating, the process of connecting, the process of engaging, it's got to be fun. Otherwise, it feels, mm, maybe it's not the right timing. And I think that's the one thing to think about. Give yourself permission to pause the same way you're giving yourself permission to have the patience to wait for a response and make sure that you're fully present, as well as the person that you're trying to connect with or engage with. Make sure it's the right timing for you both. And give yourself the space. Those first couple of conversations, it can take a while. It could take 6 months. I appreciated being introduced to someone who was an ideal future client. It took us 3 months to have that first conversation. You know what? I'm delighted that it took 3 months because that's now an 8-year client. So have the patience with yourself, with your clients, and really give yourself the time to plant seeds, to build relationships, and try your best to cultivate trust. It'll help you have more impactful relationships, and it really will help you improve your engagement, your outcomes, your response rates. It'll and make this a happier place to be.
Well, thank you, because you made tonight a happy place for me to be, Melanie. Oh my goodness. I feel like every time I get a chance to collaborate with you, it is just such a joyous occasion. You have such a beautiful, beautiful spirit. I don't know. I'm not embarrassing you right now, but I words just cannot express. You talk about my colors, but just who you are, the support, the knowledge, the wisdom, and just you can feel it. You're just a ray of sunshine as well, Melanie. And I want to say thank you so much for gracing season 3. Yeah, everyone, I don't know if you missed it. She's been on all 3 seasons of Monday Night Coaching, but I feel like every time I'm learning more about you, I feel like the masterclass series really opened my eyes to just so much, and you are amazing. I'm giving you your flowers right now because you are amazing. So thank you so much.
And thank you. We're sending you flowers back as well as wishes for a happy Mom's Day to you and the moms and the single dads and the fur moms in, in your audience.
But
Thanks for all you do.
But before we leave, everyone, I want to make sure you guys tune in because Melanie also, I just love, we have Powerful Mondays on LinkedIn. So she also do Impossible's a live event. She has amazing guest speakers. I was just honored to be on there last Monday, and we were talking about amplifying your audio voice. But Melanie, would you like to talk more about Impossible Live and just your events coming up and when they can catch that for you?
Definitely can catch those on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern, and you can catch replays on YouTube and on Meta. Join us live. And I love having amazing conversations with fabulous guests like Amalia. Shawn Michaels been a guest, uh, and delighted just to have a cool conversation. Just pop in for some encouragement, for some inspiration, and in some cases to really we have some musical themes sometimes to kind of light up our discussions. A good place to be. And thank you for making it wonderful, wonderful one, and for helping us amplify our audio voices, Amalia, always.
I appreciate you for having me. You know what, Melanie? If you had to pick a song for today's event, what song would it be?
If I had to pick a song for today's event, today's song would be Imagine. We went from connecting to losing internet connection. So imagine, right? We went through tech glitches and we're still here. We went through energy and yeah, I would just say imagine. And another good one would be Kirk Franklin's Stomp. You know,
Oh, that's a good one.
we kept, that's right. We kept on with some resonance, with some beat, you know, we're good.
I love it. Two great songs. You know what? Thank you so much, Melanie. I appreciate you. Everyone, make sure you scan the QR code or connect with Melanie so you can stay tuned to her live events on Monday at 2, as well as just everything she has to offer. She's amazing. I'm not just saying that because she's my LinkedIn friend. I didn't say connection friend. But no, she is definitely a gem to have. So make sure to connect. And Melanie, I'm gonna say it again. Once you get that retreat on the books, please send it to me.
We will. You're gonna love it. We actually we're coming up with a retreat series. So in the beginning, we were going to have a summer retreat, and instead, we're taking the time to kind of really dive in, create amazing spaces for others to emerge, and we're going to turn it into a series. So it'll be well worth the wait.
I love it. So before we just close out, I want to highlight some of our comments from everyone tuning in live. I just want to say thank you so much. I love the engagement. I just love our community. I just love them. Adrian, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Meryl, of course, you always know. I always feel like I give Meryl love notes every single episode, so I won't embarrass you today. But thank you so much, Meryl, for tuning in. I just want to make sure, Sean, you're amazing. Thank you so much. For those that are, I should say, Mondays are great because you can start with Sean on Mindset at noon, Melanie at 2, and Monday Night Coaching at either 6 or 7, depending on the speaker. So we have powerful Mondays on LinkedIn. All right, Jacqueline, thank you so much. She will be joining me too. Also, she has a masterclass coming up. Also, too, you know what, Melanie? I feel like I always miss the mark and talk about the Audio Leadership Club, but I do see a lot of members here. Melanie, you are a member. Would you like to just give a quick, um, just your thoughts on the community? I'm going to highlight that for those that may be interested in joining the leaders of the Audio Leadership Club.
I'm delighted. I think Amalia's invitation to become one of her founding members of the Audio Leadership Club really gave us a chance to kind of dive in and really learn ways we could help each other. One of the cool things was Amalia's timing of launching the Audio Leadership Club in that vacuum when many felt displaced because LinkedIn audio was disappearing, and which turned out to be a good opportunity to kind of reinvent ourselves. Molly has gone out of her way to create a really safe, inclusive space where we can really support each other, whether you need help with speakers for your upcoming conferences, presenters, whether you're testing out a topic, whether you're looking for someone to pop in on your live, or you're testing your offer, or you've got an incredible resource to share. Fabulous global place to just pop in and spark conversations and really learn great ways we can help each other focus and amplify our energy. So thank you for creating such a wonderful, inclusive space for us to be in.
I appreciate you. Everyone, if you are interested in joining the Audio Leadership Club, we do have a wait list. Feel free to, sign up. I did change it a little bit. I wanted to make it more personable. So rather than you just joining the wait list, I actually will send you an email to schedule time so we can talk more about it. And this goes into today rather than pushing something down your throat. I want to actually have a conversation to make sure this is something that will be a good fit for you. And then just kind of give you a back end view to make sure and get your permission if this is something that you feel will be a good fit for you. But everyone, thank you so much. Melanie, I'm going to go back to your QR code to give them another opportunity to connect with you. And again, you said May 12th is when you'll be back up for Impossible Live.
Definitely, yes. Next May 12th. So today we were going to have a ribbon in the sky that will probably end up being on the 12th. And then the following week, Carla Sellers from Virtual Link Suite will join us and let us know about her amazing community in Girl on Fire.
I love it. Well, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening or day, depending on your time zone. We appreciate you joining us. Melanie, thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, everyone. Take care.